Hi, my name is Gray. Today I'm going to be showing you Fairly OddParents Shadow Showdown any percent on the GameCube. Without further ado, let's get going. Shadow Showdown is a 3D platformer. It was released on PS2 and GameCube. We run on GameCube because loads are faster. There is a decent amount of kind of goofy tricks and stuff in this game. This is the tutorial level where they're just going to teach us about the basics of the game. So the first thing to know is movement, right? So we can jump, double jump, run, and jump out of a run, which carries our momentum, but does not give us the height of a normal jump. So double jump or run jumping is going to be the main movement in the run, because running is really fast, but you only have so much stamina. But when you jump, it doesn't use stamina, but it conserves your momentum, and it actually recharges stamina while you're jumping. All right, I attempted the first glitch of the run there, but it didn't actually work. We don't fully understand this glitch at the moment. We've known about it for a long time, but we still don't understand how it works. Basically, that star right there that ran away from me sometimes will not run away, and it'll stay right where it spawned, and it makes you able to push this box all the way without, or before the cutscene starts there. Because after you get the first star, there's like a timer that counts down, and then that cutscene begins. You might be asking yourself, like, I didn't realize I was watching SM64. What's up with all the stars? Basically, we need to get 3 stars in order to get 1 wish from our fairy godparents. Not exactly what I remember from the show, but you know, for a game, it's fine. So the first wish is a slingshot, which is honestly pretty awful. It often does not fire when you want it to, and the bullets sway side to side, which makes hitting these targets a little difficult. So you notice I ran back to the door there at the very end. It skips a cutscene. Usually there's a cutscene that plays after you destroy all the targets, but there's also a cutscene that plays when you get close to the door that ends the level, and that cutscene will override playing the like finished target sequence cutscene. And now we're going to the second level, which is Fairly Disastrous, which is taking place in Fairy World. Personally one of my favorite settings from the show. This is going to be a pretty quick level, though. We don't have to do most of this one. So we're going to get this first wish. By the way, getting that jump onto that little like side of the house there without getting a grab is pretty precise. You have to have a tight camera angle. So I'm going to use the card spray gizmo to spray this card to make a little bridge. And then we're going to do a pretty big skip here. It's really easy. We're going to jump on this barricade and just run jump over here. You're supposed to have to get an item that allows you to like repair things and repair the walkway there, but we don't need to do that. I'm gonna run around a little, or I didn't mean to bonk there, but I'm running around a cutscene trigger, so I don't have to pause and skip cutscene. It's like slightly faster if you don't bonk. We're gonna do another big trick here. I'll explain in a moment. Basically, I just maneuvered on some collision that you're not supposed to really be able to walk on, and was able to jump out of bounds over a wall. And there's a gate will open and a bridge will spawn here when you finish the level. But the collision for the bridge is always there. It's just not, the texture's gone. So we can do that. All right, I'm gonna do a precise trick here. I thought I got it. I think I was exactly 1 or 2 frames late. It was very close. Basically, if you pause on the first one, like on the first or second frame of the first cutscene that spawns in this sequence, you will pop out of the cutscene, and you'll be able to move around. Quince, the jester, will be invisible, and the godparents and Quince will be talking as if they are in the cutscene. You can then run over to a button that we're about to see and cancel the cutscene from playing the rest of the way, which saves about 40 seconds. So now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to hit this button twice, and it's going to change the suit that comes out of this fountain for my card spray gizmo. And then I'm going to basically just shoot Quince with these. For some reason, he can't be hit for the first like 20 or 30 seconds. We don't really know why. But every time I hit this, it's going to change the suit. And then I'm just going to jump on top of the fountain every time, because then the elves can't actually hurt me, which is a pretty massive oversight, honestly. Oh, weird. I missed the B button. But yeah, normally they're a huge pain, and they stop you from being able to just spam shots like this because they hit you and then you stop shooting. But if they can't hit you, then this is a pretty fast boss fight. It's very easy. As easy as it looks. Alright, we should be about, like, 45 seconds behind here. Yeah. Yeah, missing that cutscene skip's a bit unfortunate, but that's alright. It just loses a bit of time. It's not like it crashes the game or something. Oops. There's only 2 cutscenes there to skip, not 3. So this is the Fairy Magic Muffin recipe, which if you watched the show, you may remember. It is very useful much later in the game. We'll see it in a little while. But for now, we're going to go into Take It on the Chin. You can also do Dad's Dream here. Doesn't matter what order you do them in. Most runners do Dad's Dream first because there's a difficult trick that is a run killer very early in Dad's Dream. But there is a worse run killer in Chin if you're going for world records, like I am. Which I will explain when we get there. But for right now, all you need to know is that the interface says we're getting the first wish right now, but we're actually getting the second wish. I believe they just made them the wrong color, because this is supposed to be the second one given, like, the obvious casual route through the level. Do a little run jump here, saves about a second. So I got the first wish, which is a pogo stick, but we don't need that for just a moment. We're actually going to go back to where we started and get this other wish. So that little jump there allows me to grab that star a little early, which is nice. So the reason we get the pogo first is because you're supposed to do a really tight jump across this platform or push a block, which is very slow. And then climb a ladder around the back of the building in order to get up there. But that's pretty slow. Using the pogo is much faster. You can actually get these in whatever order you want. It just kind of depends on what trick you want to do. Getting the pogo first is significantly easier. So the second wish we just got is a glider, which has a pretty substantial glitch, which allows us to infinitely glide as far as we want. If we press the button to activate the wish and bring up the menu for wishes at the same time, because it allows us to cancel the wish and use it on the same frame. And that means that we can use it without expending the fuel that it is supposed to take. I'll explain this in a moment. Alright, so I got on top of that panel in order to get a very specific height to do an infinite hover that will get me through this door, but at the very top of it. Which I'll explain in a moment, why I need to do that. If I can get this trick. It's a very precise setup. Okay, unfortunately I did not get it. So basically, if I use the glider on the very first frame of a cutscene, and this game runs at 30 FPS, so that's pretty hard, I will rise during the entire duration of the cutscene. Sorry, this jump's a little tough. And it allows me to skip doing that jump, which is a bit tough. As well as the next room that I'm about to do. So I'm doing an infinite hover here to cross over this room, to skip the room on the left. And then if I had gotten that, what we call is a glider climb, I would have been able to skip this room as well. But like I said, the glider climb is frame perfect. And right now, the only setup we have for doing that one is a texture setup, which is not super precise, or is very precise and not super consistent. I probably get it about 1 out of every 2 or 3 attempts. So I'm supposed to have another wish here. You might have noticed I'm doing some nonsense to get around these hippos. I'm supposed to have a wish that allows me to freeze these hippos into platforms. That's a really unfortunate death. I got hit twice immediately, one after the other, and therefore I'm probably going to miss a cycle here. I'm going to try to do something to allow me to not miss it. Oh, no. Oh, I just missed the cycle. Okay, so basically, you can wish cancel in midair with the pogo stick, which is basically where you stop using a wish when you're not supposed to be able to unequip it, and it allows you to get a little bit of a jolt forward after moving up. And it would have allowed me to save missing this cycle, but I accidentally grabbed the ledge, which wasted just enough time to not be able to make the cycle, because basically every time the glider comes out, there's like a half-second delay where you can't use it. And when you grab a ledge, it goes away and comes back out when you get back up. So I just barely missed that, but that's okay. That only misses, I think, about 10 seconds. So I'm gonna do another infinite hover here. That's gonna skip this puzzle room where I'm supposed to like raise the water level and platform over some objects and stuff. I need to be careful not to die again here because I'm very low on health and there's a number of enemies in this next room that can hurt me. I'm gonna try to do another glider climb here to show it off. This one is a bit more difficult. I was just early. I think about 4 frames early there. So that one's very hard. You just have to time it based on field mostly. But it would have allowed me to glide all the way to the top of this room and not required me to do this pogo nonsense. I would have spawned like right up here at the end of the cutscene. Doesn't save that much time, but it saves enough to matter to where it's fun going for it. Occasionally when I do get it, it saves a good amount of time. I believe it saves about 15 to 20 seconds. We're gonna do another glitch here that I'll explain in a minute. There's 2 glitches here back to back, so just hold on. Alright, 1 second.
You are too late, Cliff. I have almost absorbed enough water into myself to extinguish the Crimson Chin's power forever.
Alright, so that didn't quite work. Basically, there's 2 cutscenes here that play sequentially, and there's 2 frames in between them. If you press hover on the 2nd frame and not the 1st frame, if you do it on the 1st frame, it does not work. If you do it on the 2nd frame, you'll get a glider climb here that will take you all the way to the end of the boss fight, basically. So we're gonna have to do the boss fight a different way, which is a little more interesting, actually, even though it is slower. So since I don't have the freeze ray, I have to do some kind of sketchy runs around those pits. So normally you'd hit that first button there, and it would damage Olga. But we are not going to do that. We're going to do something a little different. I'm going to hop on the tank to get up onto the 2nd level, and I'm not supposed to be up here yet. I'm supposed to have to press the button to get up here. And then I'm going to do it again. Oh, I almost died there. That was very close. And basically, I am now at the last, what is supposed to be the final button of this stage, where you're supposed to run around this big spiral ascending platform all the way to the top and hit all these buttons. But if you notice during this cutscene that's about to play, the tanks that I jumped off of are no longer there, and so you have to do this climb before hitting any buttons. And so that we call this reverse Olga, because it's actually faster to jump all the way to the top and then jump all the way back down to the bottom than it is to climb all the way up the spiral platform. There's about 3 or 4 different ways to do this trick, ranging in difficulty. The way I just did is the most difficult, but also the fastest way. It's pretty much necessary if you're going for world record. There's a lot of cutscenes here, which is pretty unfortunate. We don't know of any way to skip them at the moment. There's one way to skip, like, the first batch of them, but it results in a soft lock, unfortunately. You are not able to finish the fight if you do the trick that skips those cutscenes. You're not able. You can only get her down to 1 health. All right, so we're coming out of Olga. Not the best split, but you know, we did okay. We did our best. We tried all the hard tricks, even if we didn't get them. Hopefully, if this were to be submitted to a marathon, I would be able to get that trick, those glider climbs, much more consistently, because I'll have more time to train on them. We've only known about that trick for about a month. I think a little less. I'm gonna use. This is a long cutscene. It's about a minute long. I'm gonna take a sip of water here. This is the longest cutscene that we can't skip. Longest single cutscene we can't skip. The cutscenes in the Olga fight are a bit longer altogether. Actually, I think they're about the same. Basically, in this level, there is like 3 separate platforming challenges that each utilize a different wish that you get. We're gonna finish the first one without getting any wishes right off the bat. Alright, so I'm gonna do the first trick here for this level. It was very unfortunate. Usually I get this first try. I've been struggling with it a bit today, but I think it's because I'm tired. But you can run around that suit there. Usually you need to get the first wish, which is a light bulb. And the light bulb attracts moths, and then you can bring the moth to the suit, and it will eat the suit. Pretty silly. Basically just works like a key and a door. So this first section's very difficult, the way we do it. It's very easy the normal way, but it's very slow. So I'm going to do a little trick here that I'll explain after I complete it. Okay, one moment. Almost there. Alright, so I did a trick there called, we call it Dad Skip. It skips the first section in Dad's Dream. And basically we can just platform on some collision out of bounds there, and then do a series of very precise jumps around a seam of collision where the wall is at like a probably like an 80-degree angle, like a 75-80 degree angle. And so we jump around on like the top seam of the wall to get around, and then we do a run jump to the end of that part of the stage. It's a bit tight. It's probably the biggest run killer for new runners. It's the hardest trick that you really need to know to do any percent. You can do any percent without learning that trick, but you'll lose about a minute. So you might notice I'm picking up both purple and yellow right now because yellow spawns when you spawn into the level, and the purple stars spawn after you do the first wish, or I'm sorry, after you do the first puzzle that we just completed with Dad Skip, where you pull the lever. The second wish is the Ultra Magnet. We already talked about the light bulb, but the Ultra Magnet destroys those metal blocks. There's a number of them throughout the level, but we only actually need to destroy that one. We also need this for the final boss. Or not the final boss, but the boss of this level. So this section can very easily be skipped by jumping off that lamppost. It is... Oops. I paused too early there. It is exactly as easy as it looks. You can just jump right off the top of that all the way to the end of this section. Now, we're going to see a little bit more of the third section. But there are still a couple pretty cool tricks we can do in the third section that are very difficult. This level is one of the most jam-packed with tricks. All of the levels of this game have a lot of tricks, but this one has a lot of them just back to back to back. Alright, so we're going to come over here first, and we're going to get the first green star. And you might notice this is the only level where we actually need all 3 wishes. And you'll see why in a minute here. So I'm gonna shoot a bullet at the frog. Frog's gonna eat the bullet, which means he can't eat my moth. And then I'm gonna grab this star. The moth was supposed to eat that suit, and it like effectively did because it didn't attack me. But it's supposed to eat the suit, and it didn't, which I've never seen before. That was very interesting. It allowed me to get the last star though. So the last wish in this section is called the action klaxon, which is just like a hip hop air horn, basically. And we use it to wake things up. To help us, which is kind of ridiculous. So this suit skips pretty easy. You just run against the wall and he can't catch you. Alright, this is a hard trick. I'm going to focus here for a second. I'm going to do a little setup by grabbing both of these edges. Alright, that was really close to not working, but it worked. Ooh, that run jump was a little sketchy. So yeah, we can skip that little section there by doing that precise run jump, and then here we're gonna do a suit skip. On one of those launchy platforms back there, it could have soft locked, but it did not, which was great. I'm not gonna make that cycle, unfortunately. So usually you're supposed to run around on all of these different platforms up here and like use the action klaxon a bunch to get to this platform, but we can just jump off the trophy, and if you're fast enough, you can skip a cycle there, which is really fast, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do that. So here we're going to skip another bit by coming up here. It's supposed to be just an optional spot, but we can actually use it to run jump over to the very edge of the level, or the very end of the level, excuse me, and we can skip dealing with the last suit entirely. So now that we have hit all the levers, what was a hot dog is now a boat. And we need fuel for the boat, because boats need fuel to run. Obviously. It's not like this is a dream and the boat could just, like, run on nothing, but, you know. So, unfortunately, we have to do a little bit of an auto-scroller here. This auto-scroller is the only one we have to do in any percent. There is another one that we have to do in all levels in addition to this one. But luckily, it's pretty short. It's about a minute. Yeah, this game's a rail shooter now. I don't know if you knew this, but 3D platformers obviously share a lot with rail shooters. We can do some kind of goofy stuff here with some of the collision in this auto-scroller. It's also fun to note that this auto-scroller actually just exists, like, really far out of bounds. We didn't know that until a few days ago, actually, where in the other level that has an auto-scroller, we found it out of bounds using a double jump cheat code that allows you to jump infinitely. We can clip into some of this collision, which is kind of fun, just kind of clip through stuff. But yeah, this just exists out of bounds, and if you go there through cheating, you can, like, go through this level, but basically the reason that I can't go farther up, left, right, or down is because there's actually invisible walls. It's not because of anything else. But you can come out here and, like, run through here because there's also an invisible floor. You don't actually ever need to shoot anything in this rail shooter to get through here without taking damage. It's pretty easy. Kind of clip through the pretzel there. You're not supposed to be able to do that. We can also clip into this wall here. There's a lot of goofy stuff you can do with the collision and the auto scrollers. So they're boring, but at least there's some things we can do that are interesting. Alright, I'm gonna quit my magnet gun and head to the final boss. I keep saying final boss, but it's the boss of this stage, excuse me. This is a pretty difficult boss. A lot can go wrong here. Also, I know that might have seemed like a soft lock, but that cutscene just takes forever and, like, goes black for a really long time. So basically, I'm gonna hit the robot with a wrecking ball, which is gonna knock him down. And then, I tried to collect more bolts from... There's, like, a walking bucket of bolts that you can collect bolts from, but I missed him. I'll show you that trick after this phase. I don't know where he is. There he is. So I'm just gonna collect up to 5 real quick because it's optimal. And then we're gonna hit him 4 times, and then I'm gonna collect a bolt from this guy before that cutscene starts, which lets me collect it after the cutscene. These pillars have sound cues, which is nice. It's the only part in the game we actually need sound cues for. Alright, this should be a perfect boss fight if I don't mess this up. There's a lot that can go wrong in this boss fight, like if he hurts you or if you take too much time. There's also a thing that can happen where if you skip the cutscenes to defeat the boss on the first frame available, the boss will freeze and you have to intentionally take damage to continue the fight. That loses a lot of time because you also miss a cycle that way. It just, like, doesn't let you hit him on on the next cycle after that happens. All right, so this is the last real level of the run, and there is some pretty silly nonsense going to be happening here. We rerouted this level about 3 days ago, or I should say I rerouted this level. There's an out-of-bounds glitch in this level that we've known about for a long time, but we didn't really have a way to make it useful. We didn't know enough about the game in order to be able to maneuver out of bounds really well. But I just decided one day, I said, you know, I want that glitch to be useful. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure out a way to make it work. And it turns out that it's actually like 2 seconds slower. I spent probably about 7 hours routing it. Mostly glitch hunting. But it is a little slower, but is way more consistent and easy to get, like, perfect movement than the inbounds route. So we are still planning to use it because on average you will save time. The optimal run will lose like 2 seconds. We believe. That's based on the best timing we were able to achieve. Alright, so back there in that last room, I was able to skip a bit of pulling a box by abusing the way momentum works in this game. Timmy accelerates kind of slowly when you start walking when you start walking forward before he reaches, like, full speed. But if you walk against a wall and then very quickly snap the controller back, or the control stick in a different direction, you'll maintain that momentum. And that allows me to skip push. Oh no, I bonked and that guy hurt me. Oh, that's not looking good. All right, I gotta jump away from those guys for a second. I really don't want to take any more damage if I can help it, because I can get damaged in the boss fight, which could be a problem. But you're gonna see that same momentum that same momentum glitch in a little bit. But first, we have a pretty bonkers out of bound glitch that I'm gonna show you. So this only works in this level because we need this wish to do it. So I'm going to do it right here, and I'll explain it after I do it. So I flipped into a cutscene there. And the reason I did that was because it allows me to... basically, when a cutscene happens, Timmy, like, spawns in a specific place for the cutscene to play out. For most cutscenes, not all. And for that one, if you flip the room right as you're triggering the cutscene, it'll spawn you on the wrong side of the floor. Alright, this should work? Yes. Okay, so I just avoided... there's a really big, there's big out-of-bounds triggers there that will kill you if you hit them, because that room is supposed to be like a pit on both the ceiling and the floor. I need to focus for this part. Oh, let me try that again. I'm trying to basically slide off the ledge and flip at the same time. So it allows me to get up here pretty easily. So now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to... Basically, that weird camera angle is supposed to spawn the boss room, which I did manage to spawn. And it ends up just being really far below this. And so now we can come over here. And this is supposed to be the boss. This is the boss room. So I'm going to do a little bit of a tight jump there, and I'm going to trigger the cutscene from out of bounds to start the boss fight, and it's going to bring me into the boss room. So basically, to recap, we got out of bounds, navigated out of bounds over a very large death plane that exists on both edges of a room, and then we were able to navigate using glitched or sliding room flips, where you flip the room while you're sliding in order to get on top of the outside of the box pushing puzzle in order to trigger the boss fight, and then jump out of bounds and trigger the cutscene that puts you in the boss fight. So now the boss is actually like really high up. They're supposed to be like basically near the ground, and I need to line them up so they're directly over top of these boxes and then crush them with the boxes. It's actually pretty easy for the most part. This boss fight is very consistent. You have to wait for them to try to like hit you with this like laser beam nonsense like 3 times. And then they will disappear, and basically they go to the other side of the room, so when you flip it, the box appears like over their head, is basically how that works. You're supposed to like pull the boxes out, like that's like the casual strat. But it's easier to just like leave them where they are and like just kind of push the boss so that they're on top of the box. If you just use their shadow, it's like pretty free. But the hitbox does work a little weird in that like if the like front of their shadow is touching it but not the back of their shadow, it won't work. You mostly just want the back of their shadow to be touching it, or them to be like directly overhead of it. Alright, so I managed not to take damage here, which is good because I only have 1 health right now, and it would have lost a lot of time if I died. Alright, so we are about 3 minutes behind. That makes sense given some of the tricks that we missed and had to retry, but it's not a big deal. So normally in the all levels run, we have 2 more levels to go, and casually you have 2 more levels to play, but this is where we're going to abuse momentum again. I'll explain it once I get over. So basically, I'm abusing momentum to jump, to get like a little bit of speed and enough speed to jump out and over that wall and get all the way to the final boss. So all levels, is everything the same up until now? You would go to the last 2 levels. So basically, this guy, I just gotta hit these buttons and then hit him on the foot when the lights come on. He's gonna try to bounce me away, but if I ground pound, it cancels out that animation. I'm also standing in very precise places to manipulate his movement. I'm gonna stand just barely to the right of the button, and he's gonna go to the button to my left. And I keep him moving to the left the whole time. I find that to just be the easiest, but it doesn't really matter which button he goes to as long as you know where he's gonna go. Alright, and time is when I hit him on the foot. Alright, and there it is. Alright, so that's Fairly OddParents Shadow Showdown, any percent, in 29 minutes and 38 seconds. Sub 30 is honestly pretty hype. for a no reset run. There's a lot of really hard tricks. My PB does a lot of tricks that save a lot of time that I rarely get. The nice thing is, it's very marathon safe. There's backups for just about everything. There's only really 2 things there aren't a backup for, and I would have backup saves for those that would basically lose no time. I would just be like, all right, let's pretend I got the trick, and here's the save file. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you considering the run. We would love to be able to showcase this run on a marathon, especially now that we have all these cool new glitches, especially that new out of bounds. So yeah, thanks so much. Hope you'll have us. And check out my my run incentive. I made a task for Take It on the Chin. One of the ILs for this game. The task includes a lot of glitches that we don't use RTA because it's just not viable. It uses a lot of extra glider climbs and stuff like that. It would be a great run incentive. It's only like 5 minutes, so it'd be a cool donation incentive. So please check that out as well. But thanks so much for watching, and if I don't see you there, have a great Games Done Quick, and I'll be in the chat. Thanks.